You know, we all think we know the story of Christmas, right? It's all about cozy traditions, timeless carols, a story passed down peacefully through the ages. But what if I told you that the real story is one of conflict, controversy, and constant radical change? Well, let's dive into the revolutionary history of our most popular holiday.
We hear so much talk these days about a war on Christmas, this modern cultural battle over a sacred holiday. But what if that's not new? What if the fight over what Christmas is and what it should be has been going on since the very, very beginning? Because the truth is, Christmas as we know it wasn't just handed down from on high. Nope, it was built, it was banned, it was forgotten, and then it was completely reinvented, not just once, but multiple times. It's a story of transformation that will absolutely change the way you see December 25th forever.
Okay, so our first stop might be a big surprise for a lot of you. For the first few centuries of Christianity, the church didn't celebrate Christmas at all. It simply didn't exist.
I mean, just look at this timeline. For nearly 300 years, Christians lived, they worshipped, and many were even martyred without any kind of annual celebration of Jesus' birth. The very first mention we have of a Christmas celebration on December 25th doesn't even show up until around the year 336. So, what were they focused on instead?
Historian Bruce David Forbes puts it really plainly. The early church had a completely different center of gravity. You have to remember, they were living in a time of intense persecution, with this powerful expectation that Christ could return at any moment. Their focus wasn't on a baby in a manger, but on something way more dramatic. And this slide, wow, it really illustrates why. If you look at the New Testament itself, the Nativity story only appears in 2 of the 4 Gospels, Matthew and Luke. And even those 2 tell different versions of the story. But the Passion, the death and resurrection of Jesus, that's the explosive climax of all 4 Gospels and the absolute core of everything St. Paul wrote about. The early church wasn't Christmas-centered, it was profoundly Easter-centered.
So, if Christmas wasn't an original part of Christianity, where in the world did it come from? Well, that brings us to the first great reinvention, a really brilliant and strategic move by the church in the 4th century. By the 300s, Christian leaders had a problem on their hands. They wanted to celebrate Jesus' birth to really emphasize his divinity right from the start, but nobody knew the actual date. Then they saw a huge opportunity. Roman culture was already dominated by these massive midwinter festivals. The solution? It was genius. Don't fight them, join them, and transform them from the inside out. And man, what a party it was. First, you had Saturnalia, a week-long festival of feasting and just general wildness. Then, on December 25th itself, you had the birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun god. And right after that was Calamedes, the rowdy New Year's celebration. So by placing Christmas right in the middle of this festive corridor, Christian leaders could piggyback on all that energy, maybe tame some of the excess, and offer a powerful new meaning to the season.
So here's the crucial point. If you think the whole commercial, secular side of Christmas is a modern problem, think again. The tension between the sacred and the secular, between a holy day and a good old-fashioned winter party, that's baked into the holiday's DNA from the very beginning. That feeling of a holiday being pulled in 2 directions, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Okay, now we're going to leap forward, and I mean way forward, over 1,000 years, to the second great reinvention. This is the wild story of how Christmas was outlawed, basically forgotten, and then totally reborn as the holiday we all recognize today.
In the 1600s, the Puritans in England and the American colonies, well, they saw Christmas as a Catholic invention that was just full of pagan rituals and bad behavior. They hated it so much that they actually made celebrating it illegal. For decades, you could get fined for celebrating Christmas. In fact, in early America, Congress didn't even take the day off. They often met on Christmas Day.
The holiday didn't really make its big comeback until the mid-19th century. And what drove this revival? Well, it wasn't primarily a religious movement. It was a cultural one. In a rapidly industrializing America, writers and merchants started promoting a whole new vision of Christmas, a cozy, family-focused holiday. And to be the face of this new Christmas, they needed a superstar.
And here he is, Santa Claus. He is, maybe, the most successful character reinvention in history. The real St. Nicholas was a 4th century Turkish bishop, but in 19th century America, writers and illustrators completely transformed him. As one historian put it,
They defrocked him. They stripped him of his religious robes and his authority, and they turned him into the jolly, secular, gift-giving icon who became the engine of a brand new, commercial Christmas.
And was this reinvention successful? Just look at the numbers. Over 200 times billion spent on presents in the US alone every single year. This 19th century reinvention didn't just revive Christmas. It turned it into the single greatest commercial event of the year, fundamentally changing our ideas about celebration and generosity.
But that is not the whole story. While one reinvention was creating a commercial giant, another, much deeper tradition was offering a profound counter-narrative, recentering the holiday on a core theological mystery. And this one is all about the mother and child.
The writer G.K. Chesterton captured this idea so beautifully. He said that in the nativity scene, you just can't separate the mother from the child. Their holiness, their very being, is all interwoven. This gets to the heart of a powerful Catholic theological perspective on Christmas.
From this point of view, Mary isn't just a background character. You can't just chip her away from the scene. She is the essential vessel, the one who gave her yes, and the one through whom God entered the world. So to really understand the child, you have to understand the unique role of the mother. And this profound role is defined by several key beliefs, or dogmas, that were developed over many centuries. These ideas are all about her unique status as the mother of God, her purity, and her special place in heaven. And each one of these ideas just deepens her critical role in the entire story of salvation.
And get this isn't just ancient history. The Church, through the authority of the Pope, has continued to formally define these beliefs right into the modern era. The Immaculate Conception was defined as dogma in 1854, and the Assumption as recently as 1950. That just shows this is an ongoing, living tradition of theological reflection.
So here's the bottom line. This deep theological focus on the mother and child provides a powerful counterweight to the purely commercial Christmas. It recenters the holiday not just on giving gifts, but on the profound mystery of the incarnation, the idea of God becoming human.
So, from a non-existent holiday, to a pagan party replacement, to a band festival, to a commercial bonanza, and to a deep theological mystery, Christmas has never been just one thing. It's always been a battleground of ideas, constantly being reinvented. Which, of course, leaves us with one final question to think about. What will its next reinvention be?